Hello and welcome to the Play Sheet Podcast's team breakdowns for the 2021 NFL Draft. After going through a couple of NFC North teams yesterday, we're going to flip it over to the AFC South today, and we've got a treat to start things off with, and that's the Houston Texans. Now, the Texans are an organisation in a very unhealthy place right now. They finished 2020 with a 4-11 record, third in the AFC South, but two of those wins were over the hapless Jaguars. Now, a team that performs bad enough to earn the third overall spot needs a few home runs in the early rounds to start immediately filling gaps. Unfortunately for the Texans, their first and second rounders, which were premium picks at third overall and 36th, were sent to the Dolphins last year as part of a trade for Laramie Tunsil. The Texans only actually have one pick across the first 2 days, and that's 67th overall in the third round. They then have a fourth rounder, 2 fifths, 3 sixths, and a 7th. In terms of draft capital, I think probably only the Seattle Seahawks are poorer going into this year's draft. In all honesty, I don't think things have ever been this bad for the Texans as an organisation. You go back 15 years when they finished 2-14, at least then they had the first overall pick the following year to start the rebuild. To add to all of this, there are obviously the off-the-field issues affecting quarterback Deshaun Watson. And I'm going to totally swerve all of that. On the podcast, we enjoy talking about players' alleged indiscretions and criminality when it's funny. There's no real laughs to be had here. Regardless, this is a consideration, and depending on how things progress here, it could have major repercussions going forward. For what it's worth, as things stand right now, I can't see this being resolved quickly, and therefore I predict that Watson will be on the Commission's exempt list to at least start off this season. So back onto football matters. With so few valuable picks, this year's free agency has been all the more important for the Texans. And to be honest, it's been a really, really weird one. I previewed the Packers yesterday, who haven't added a single new player in the offseason, while the Texans are beyond the other end of the spectrum. By my count, they've added 26 players through trades and free agency signings. That's 26 new players, not re-signings. And I'm talking 2 quarterbacks, 4 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 4 cornerbacks. The list goes on. Now, GM Nick Caserio has called these players singles and doubles, which I'd certainly question the wisdom of. Continuing the baseball analogy, you need to find home runs from somewhere. And going into this draft, the Texans are a long way behind the count with the bases empty. So what do the Texans do in this year's draft? With so many free agency signings, it's hard to gauge whether a team feels it still needs to add depth because, honestly, unless they get extremely lucky, they're not going to find too many starters with their picks on day 3. Regardless of what we've done in free agency, it still stands that Houston have a 26th ranked pass rush defense with JJ Watt on the roster. Added to that, their inability to stop the run, especially on the outside, was a running joke on the podcast last season. If Caserio wants to approach this draft in the same manner as he has done in free agency, then maybe he throws a bunch of picks on the D-line and linebacker spots and then just waits to see what sticks. As we've mentioned, there are quite a few interesting D-line prospects going into day 3, and perhaps they'll fluke one out of the park from there. So there might be no tears in baseball, but I'd certainly be weeping if I was a Texans fan after the mismanagement of this organisation over the past few seasons. Had the Tunsil trade not happened, Houston could easily have picked up Penei Sewell, a perceived generational talent, with their third overall pick, and then still maintain their second rounder to address other needs, and there were a few of them. Are bars open in Houston right now? Are you allowed to do that during a pandemic out there? If so, Texans fans, I'd probably say switch off the TV on Thursday night and go out and have a beer. You won't be missing anything except for your rivals getting stronger. That's all I can say on it for the Texans.